Hello friends, this is Tara Love Perry, day 9 of birthing into the light body, where we're going on a journey from spirit, from all that I am, down into form, into this vessel, into this feeling, touching, tasting, experiencing body of being that matters right here, right now. And today I'm talking about the base chakra, the birth center. I call it the birth center. Down here where you sit is right where the memory of your birth is stored. And a whole lot of other things actually. I'm going to try and keep it simple. This is my favorite subject to talk about, is birthing, being I of spirit on earth, being all that I am in this body. And learning to get out of the way and allow yourself to birth your own spirit, allow yourself to birth your own all that you are, and to be established, complete, whole, in total union with your body and soul, completely rested, seated, sitting, anchored in your throne, in your power, in the simplicity and your innocence of I am. So there's so much to this. Where do I begin? Well, yesterday I talked about the sacral center, the divine essence of you, and how that often, pretty much always, gets covered up with those conditions, the conceptualization of your parents as they conceive you into being through their own unconscious ideas, their own unconscious belief systems, their unconscious actions and feelings that are stored there in the subconscious of the belly, the waters, as I described in that section. Subconscious awareness of feeling as it gets poured into the cauldron of creation of you, into that sacral center. So there's a lot there about conditioning of what you seem that you are but you're not, the beliefs, the concepts that you believe that you are, that have been kind of infused, the ingredients that were put into your creation, and then the actual what is, your divine conception, the fact that you were predestined, you were preconceived to be here, perfectly, beautifully whole. And which one are you feeling? Maybe you feel both, but which one feels good and which one feels not so good? Which one can you really take into your heart and not just believe but know that you are? Do you have that experience of, oh yes, I know I'm a failure, I know, or is that just a deep-seated belief that you're living on a foundation that really isn't true? And literally it is a foundation, because we're talking about right down here in the sacral center, just above the pubic bone, deep inside the body there, in our most intimate place, in our most sacred space within us, where literally our own seeds and our own womb of creation are placed inside of us. That's a magical, incredible center. So anyway, that's what I was talking about yesterday. And we're dropping it down even deeper today into the birth center. So this place is completely unconscious. Most people don't remember their birth at all, nor do we remember where we were before we were born, what other form this body had, because we're literally molded from the earth. We are the stuff of the earth, like a flower, like a tree, and then we go back to the earth. So the mother forms our body. We're literally, through the divine feminine, into your mother's body, created by the mystery of the feminine, is this physical body. It's being gestated, being created, being molded and informed as to what you are by your environment. And then in comes spirit and infuses you with your divine rights, with your absolute, this is what you are, your seed of perfection. And those two things can totally grow in harmony, the body and the spirit. And so hopefully when your body is born, you're completely clear, you're completely unencumbered by these, traumatic past memories. that your mother cleared all her past traumas. She's completely free, completely open in her body. She's unconditionally loving and creating you without her own conditions of love, without her own conditions for herself about who she believes she is and how worthy she is and how beautiful she is and how loved she is and all of that stuff. But hopefully she's coming from a place of absolute love. And the same thing with your father, that he's coming from a place of absolute love, total consciousness, pure intention. He's giving, 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 and your mother's receiving, receiving, receiving. And the two can join and have this incredible union to create a child and to birth a child, which would be you. Now, I'm guessing that that's probably not what happened to you. Although, in one sense, it's absolutely true that that is who you are, divinely conceived and birthed. You're here, you're alive, spirit is connected, your body has received, you're working in harmony together. And yet, that birthing, that foundational bed of your making, where your parents made you, and where you're born, has such a huge impact on your life, on your being, because these things are the ingredients, if you like, the events, the environment, the thoughts, the feelings, the beliefs, they're all woven into you and then kind of hidden away, locked away in the unconscious mind, part of you. They're not what you live with daily aware of. Of course, they're there because these are the foundations you were created from. It's the bed from which you were made, from which you were born. And it's the seat of your power. It's literally where you sit every day. It's where you connect from here down to the earth, and it's where we connect to another in a physical way, in an intimate way. And there's so much unconsciousness around that because, and this is what I believe, that we're unconscious there, partly because it's part of our evolution, to come from a place of seemingly unconsciousness into an awakened state so that we can have an experience of growth, have an experience of evolution, have an experience of what it is to be all that we are as a human being, and perhaps also all that we're not as we are gestated, as we are in formation, we're still being created, we're still forming, if you like, we haven't stopped evolving and growing, we haven't reached our peak potential yet, we're still in that process. So just to understand that that's okay, the journey is still in progress, not to judge and weigh and measure ourselves as, what we should be, but actually just understanding what we are. I think I've gone off on a bit of a tangent again, I tend to do that. But coming back to that birth situation where probably for you, as it is for most people, there's trauma when you're born. There's trauma in lots of different ways. The first trauma would be that when you come into this body, it seems that you're quite now detached and far from the place from where you originated, from Source or from God, or however you understand that to be, whatever your experience or feeling is. Most of you will know what I'm talking about. Somewhere inside of you, maybe in your most desperate moments, that's when you're going to feel it the most. It's like, what am I doing here? I don't want to be here anymore. Take me back to where I belong. Where did I come from? Where's my source? Where's my God? Where's that place where I know I'm loved that doesn't seem to be in this body? So there's that feeling of detachment when you come into the body, because it feels like you've journeyed a long way, and in a way you have. You've come from absolute pure energy, pure love-like energy, and had to densify and condense yourself and learn to live with these denser, heavier vibrations, the slower vibrations of the body and of this human consciousness and of emotions. That can be so difficult for a spirit to feel that, especially when there's a lot of contraction, there's a lot of fear, there's a lot of resistance around birth, and there has been a lot of unconsciousness on earth. So for us to birth, to land into this place as a spirit can be very traumatic. And often we leave, in fact not even often, more than often, lots, this happens, that we leave a great vast majority of our spirit, of the all that we are, behind. It doesn't kind of fit through the portal, it won't fit through the opening of the mother. what am I talking about? So this again, now I'm going to relate it in a physical way. So when you're physically born, was your mother able to really open and yield and surrender completely, unconditionally, allowing herself to be unconditionally loved, unconditionally receiving the energy of the birthing waves, of the spirit moving through, your spirit moving through her was a big deal. It's a big thing to receive that much light and love of a pure spirit coming straight from source, coming straight from God. And to get out of the way and receive that and be the vessel for that, be the channel and the portal for that. And if that was frightening to your mum because she didn't understand, she wasn't taught, she wasn't educated, she wasn't supported, or for whatever reason, she didn't have faith, she didn't trust, she didn't understand that her body is pre-programmed to do that job, that she doesn't have to do it, that that's in her innate, natural beings, in her nature to do that, then she would have contracted, she would have felt frightened, she possibly would have handed her body over to the control of doctors and nurses and other human beings rather than handing her body over to control to the divine forces that are responsible for birthing. You know, she was highly likely on drugs, on medication to knock her out so that she wasn't present, she wasn't conscious. And if this is the case, if you can imagine, that's a very small gap of consciousness. It's a very small gap of space, if you like, when there's so much contraction and resistance for your spirit to come in. So you would have come in the amount that would have been receivable by your mother and receivable by your parents. Just enough so that you would be like them, so that you were, you know, to establish and be here. But not so much as to complete yourself, as to birth your whole spirit. And this is why I love talking about birth so much. I really love conscious birthing. I really believe in it. And so, I had incredible birthing experiences, and not to say that I did it perfectly, but I loved my birth experiences. And I really know that in my own self, I have a need, an innate need for my entire self to be present, who I actually am. Not who I'm believed to be and conditioned to be, but who I actually am, wants and needs to be here in this body. Established, grounded, rooted, sitting in my power. That's a need that I have no control of. I didn't create that. That's just what's inbuilt inside of me. That's what I need. And it's the same thing for you. So when there's been that unconsciousness around your birth, where your mother may not have even been conscious, that can be incredibly traumatic. To not be held and received by loving arms the moment you enter your first moments into the world, your first moments into being, as your spirit and your body fuse properly for the first time and you're born. To be welcomed and received and loved. And if that didn't happen in the way that you needed it, in the way that felt real, that felt unconditional to you, you're going to have trauma around being born. You're going to have trauma around being here. And then, of course, that's going to be buried in the unconscious, because that's difficult to deal with. If your first moments felt that traumatic, the trauma remains in your body memory. The trauma remains in your unconscious, subconscious, emotional memory. And it's also written in your psyche, it's written in your energy field, it's written in your memory somewhere. Except if, that much trauma is going to be difficult for you to land into. You're going to find that really uncomfortable to wear that much trauma that's existing in your body from day one. So again, your spirit will move up and out. There'll be that distance there, that detachment, that difficulty in connection between your body and spirit, and yet you have to live with that. And it gets hidden in our unconscious memories until such time when we feel we are ready to bring the unconscious into consciousness. And this is where we are now. This is so important. There's a lot of talk, and there has been for years, about ascension and all that kind of stuff, and I don't really, this is how it is for me. This is how I understand it. It's actually bringing this awareness, this consciousness, this love, and all of our ability to feel, all the things that we are, all our senses, down into the deepest parts of our unconscious memories, down to our birth, down to our earth, down to our mother, and down to the Mother Earth and the Mother Nature and reconnect. Bring consciousness to those unconscious places, because it's not just your body you were born into. You're born into a lineage of your mother and your father and all their ancestors, and all of the conditions that were inherently passed along your lineage, your ancestral line, and were literally like those are the materials that you were created from. Those are the conditions that you were created from. So it's all that sits inside of you as well, in memory. And I know this because I read it. I read it in every single person that comes. And also the place on earth that you anchor into, what's hidden in the earth, what's been buried in unconsciousness for us to forget about in the layers of the earth, and the earth's consciousness, the earth's memory, that we'd rather forget, that we feel ashamed of, we don't want to go there, it's too dark or whatever. But actually for us to bring consciousness to our birth, to bring consciousness to the earth, literally it's like bringing a light into the darkness. It's no longer unconscious if we dare to go there and we breathe fresh air, fresh life, awareness, love back into our base center, back into our birth memories, bring our birth memories back to life, heal those traumas, go deeper into the earth, connect with our Mother Nature, connect with the nature of our true selves. That's divine. Mother Nature is perfect. It just seems dark and unconscious because of humanity, because of our journey here. And now we go and we bring awareness to that and we lift it out of unconsciousness. And we have this beautiful symbiotic journey and experience with Mother Earth. We are her children, are we not? So as her body experiences something, so does our body. As her sees our emotions experience something, so do we. It's all connected. So we're all growing together and illuminating and bringing consciousness to our birth, to our base, to our foundations, and creating a brand new foundation on earth. So I'm talking a long time here, but basically I'm gonna ask you, have you claimed your own birth? Have you claimed your birthright? Or is it all still mucked up with everybody else's stuff, all the conditioned stuff in your birth where it just feels too hard for you to even sit in your own self, in your own body, in your own base center, to claim your own power, to claim your own sexuality, to claim your own creation and co-creational rights on this earth? Have you claimed your birth? Have you claimed your birthright? And if not, how could you do that? How could you do that right now? What could you do to enable that to happen? Do you need to? I believe you do need that. So go ahead, feel, breathe, connect, dig deep, feel. Be prepared to awaken something. Be prepared to go back and say, okay, I can't live in this unconsciously traumatized state. I need to go back. I need to do something. You're big enough now. You're grown up enough. You're equipped enough. You're powerful enough. Your time is now. It must be, because you're watching this video and we're having this dialogue, or I'm having a dialogue with you. It must be your time. Go do that. And if you want any support and help with that, I'm a midwife for that. I'm pretty good at my job. In fact, I'm pretty amazing at my job. I love doing this. I love to midwife your spirit into this body and clear all of the conditions out of the way and allow you to establish. I love doing that. And it would be my pleasure to support you and help you with that. So just, have a wonderful time doing that, whichever, whether you choose to have support or not. I recommend when you're birthing to have some support, to have some birth support, and to have some people to hold you and catch you at least. You can contact me on www.taraloveperry.com. And I so look forward to speaking to you. Tomorrow we're going to go up again from the earth, from the mother, from the divine feminine, back up to spirit. And that's going to be a wonderful and extraordinary journey. So I speak to you tomorrow on day 10, and I'll try and keep these videos shorter. Over and out. Lots of love. Bye.